All right, now we're going to set up for something completely different. We're in the same studio, but what we've done is we're going to set up for a very masculine shot, very masculine looking portrait, very dark, just a little bit of light. Really, really nice for anytime you want to do a male portrait and you want something really, really striking. So we're going to do it on a black background. So we're on the same wall here in the studio, the white wall. What we did was we used a pop-up background. So this is just a little pop-up background. It folds down to about this. And when you open the zippered case, it comes a little blue zippered case. You open it, it goes floop, and it makes this giant thing. Lastalight makes them, Westcott makes them, a ton of different companies make these pop-up backgrounds. They're very inexpensive. What's nice about them is one side's white and one side's black. Now you can get them in all kinds of, you can get one side green, one side blue, you can get them in all kinds of different ones. The one I think you'll find the most useful is white on one side, black on the other. They come with a very small little stand to pop it up, which is what we have in the background. Now, we're going to have to deal with a problem in this studio because everything in this studio is white that you're probably not going to have to deal with when you do this yourself. And that is that the light, if it hits something white, it reflects. That's why you'll see reflectors are either white or silver, because you want the light to reflect. Well, the problem here is the light in this room, everything is white. The drapes are white, the ground's white, the floor's white, everything. So we just took this big flat right here. It's a big black wall, for lack of a better term. You can buy these. You can buy these at sign shops, and they sell them. They're about 40 bucks a sheet, and you'll hear them referred to in the lighting trade as V-flats. Because what you do is you'll buy one big 8-foot by 4-foot panel, another 8-foot by 4-foot, and then you'll tape it together with gaffer's tape, with black gaffer's tape in the middle, and it makes this giant V. The reason why we're putting it in here, and you probably won't even have to do this, is because everything's white and light's going to bounce everywhere. That's not good in a lighting situation where we want just a little bit of light falling on our subject. So I'm going to bring Mark in again. So Mark, come on in here. We're going to have you sit right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Mark kind of look over here as if I'm shooting from this camera position, but you can see where I'm actually going to be shooting for. So he's not actually going to be looking at the camera. And I probably will have him do a couple of shots where he is looking at the camera, but I'm still going to keep his body position faced over this way, and he's going to kind of look over here. And by the way, anytime that you're posing a model and you're going to have them look someplace else, like a 2/3 view or something like that, actually give them a place to look at so they don't just kind of look like they're looking off into nowhere. It really helps. Another key thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't see too much of the whites of their eyes. So you don't want Mark looking so far over this way that you don't really see his iris, and what you see instead is just a big whites of his eyes. So give him a spot to look at every single time, and then also make sure that from your position, from the camera position, you don't see too much whites of the eyes. This is something I'm dealing with a lot on these sets, is making sure there's not too much whites, because it's very, very distracting. You really want to see that iris nice and crisp. All right, so Mark, let's kind of look like right over in this area. We're going to use this light to light him with. So we're using another spider light. I just wanted you to see what the inside of him looked like. There's the 4 bulbs. I'm not going to turn them on while the video camera's on, because it just gets very, very, very bright. But that's what it looks like inside, and then we're just going to use this little Velcro here to put this right back on the top of it. It just Velcros right on, kind of seals up, keeps the light from spilling out all the way around like that. And that's all there is to it. Now, the placement of this light is what this technique is all about. Now, we are using spider lights. You can use strobes. It makes absolutely no difference. Doesn't matter what your light source is, whether you're using continuous light like we're using here, or a strobe, the light placement and everything else is going to be the same. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take the light here, and I don't want to actually aim it directly at him here. I kind of want to aim it to where it's just kind of skimming him a little bit this way. So I'm almost going to kind of aim the light straight. And what I want is, I want this side of his face really well lit. And then I want to have it kind of fall off, and it should be very, very dark and shadowy on this side of his face over here. So lots of dark shadows and stuff over here. If there's a little bit of light, it's okay. And so that's what this technique is really all going to be about, is trying to make sure that there is a little bit of light so you can see here. I don't really want to put a reflector in here. I really just want to be able to turn this light back and forth a little bit to where I get just a little bit of light there. All right? So what you can do is, we're going to shoot in aperture priority mode. We're going to start at f4. And it would be nice if I turned the light on. I found that lights make a big, big difference when they're on. I found that when they're off, it gets kind of dark. All right, there we go. So what's nice about these, these direct on lights are they're always on. You can see what we're getting right here. So you can actually spend a little time. Look, you can see right now. How much different is what the camera is going to see than what you're going to see? Well, what you see is what you get with instant lights, and that's why it's nice to use it for this video so you can really see what's going on. All right, so keep looking where you are, Mark. I'm going to kind of give you get a head and shoulders kind of look. Now, where do I focus on Mark? I want to put the little sensor in the middle of my camera. I want to move it to where it is right over his eyes. The most critical thing to be in focus in one of these portraits, especially when I'm at f4. So f4 has a very shallow depth of field. It's very possible at f4 that Mark's nose will be in focus, but the back of his head will be out of focus. So one thing I don't want to focus on is his nose, because he'll have a nice crisp nose and his eye will be a tiny bit out of focus. So you want to make sure you nail that little red spot on the center of your camera. Make sure that you nail it right on his eyes. That's why I'll move the sensor around using this little circle here to make sure that the spot is over his eyes. So let me go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to move it to where there is. The spot is directly on his eyes. All right, Mark, I'm seeing just a hair too much of the iris, so if you can look a little, just move your eyes, not your head or anything, but I'm going to have you look a little more over here. Perfect. All right, and let's take a test shot and see how that looks. Ooh, very nice. So I'm not having to deal a whole lot with the lighting and stuff because what you see is what you get. But I can tell you what, if you look on the back of the camera, I'm blowing out his head a little bit, and that is a critical area you cannot let blow out. I'm blowing out his skin on the other side. So the only thing I can do here, I can move the light further away, which I don't really want to do. I can adjust the exposure compensation. So let's try that. I'm going to drop the exposure down a little bit, and let's see where we're at. Whoops, the camera didn't focus here. Actually, that's kind of important too. There, right back on the eye. And boom, it's gone. All it took was moving it a third of a stop from where we're at. And let's take another couple of test shots here. That looks really nice. Look at that nice look. This is great. Now, I really wouldn't want to shoot this so much for a female portrait. It's just a little bit too much of a masculine lighting look, but it looks great for this kind of stuff. Let me take a couple more shots while I've got you here, Mark, because this looks pretty darn good. Just like that. And make sure I really nail the focus point right on your eye. Looking good. Lots of shadows on the other side of the face. Now, if I wanted to open it up a little bit, what I could do is I'm going to just take the light and feather it a little bit more towards him. Now this is going to wrap around his face a little bit more. Let's see what that does. Just by moving a little bit more, and it should light the other side of his face just a little bit more. Let's see how that did. Actually, it changed the lighting on his neck a little bit. So I'm actually going to bring the light around a little bit. I'm actually going to bring it a little more this way. And if I wanted to wrap too, I can get a little closer with it. I can see from where I'm standing right now the light on the other side of his face. So now we're really opening things up quite a bit. And again, I can look at it. Ooh, I can see even better from this position here. Mark, I'm going to bring this, you don't have to move, but I'm going to bring this around a little bit more towards like right beside you. And that's going to light it quite a bit better. You can actually see his other eye is lit now, and there's actually starting to come around. Let's wrap it a little bit more. There we go. And take one more shot. And this is a variation. You have to decide if you want more light spilling on or less. But again, very, very easy. One light setup, don't need a reflector or anything. The only thing that we needed in this case that would be unusual is this big black flat. By the way, one thing I didn't mention about the black flats is that they're usually white, black on one side and white on the other. So that's also handy if you want to use, for when I'm doing fashion, I'll flip it around to the white side and use that instead, because then it becomes a full-length, full-body reflector.